Good day, welcome, and I hope you are having a great time. Today, we are going to be hatching the current dragon of the month, DUNKELVIKING. So of course, DUNKELVIKING here is part of the yearly Doppelganger collection, and he's got a very interesting design compared to the character that he's based off of. And I'm actually a big fan of this dragon. But DUNKELVIKING here is a legendary fire and wind dragon, and in theory you could potentially use him in like a second or third dungeon team, but I'm not really going to be using him. He's just going to be part of this Doppelganger Dragons Vikalanders collection. So now we've got 2 more legendaries that we need to breed, and then we will get a free dragon at the end, and then we have to hatch all of those to get the final one, but that is a very long way away. But how frightful! The DUNKELVIKING dragon closely resembles its namesake in both appearance and temperament, but like old Donkey himself, this beast can be quelled with a bit of song and dance. Very cool. But yeah, this dragon, the first thing people said when they saw him was, why the heck is he purple? And I think it's a good question. But I also love how flamboyant it sort of feels. You know, it just feels very bright, and I love bright things. And the other thing about him being purple is that he is a legendary. So I think out of all of the dragons in DML, little DUNKELVIKING here actually suits the legendary label better than most of them. But maybe that's just me. But I am a big fan of the design of this dragon. I don't think he's like the best looking dragon of all time. But I do like all of the little hair additions and the evil look in his eye, or maybe just angry look that he's got going on. But cool dragon, never going to use him for anything, but he's free DCP, and that yearly collection might give us a divine or an ancient at the end. Anything could happen, a new trampler style potentially. So I appreciate you, Sook the DUNKELVIKING, and please stop being so angry. I just said I liked you and yet you're just very, very angry at all times. It's kind of depressing. But anyway, he's going to go into that Christmas habitat for now. Of course, we also have Ancient event coming up. And there's a lot of people that want to go for Momotu. I don't think most people are going to get Momotu, if I'm honest. I think most of the people that need it probably will end up not getting it. Not because they're bad or anything, but just in general. But Momotu's cost has doubled. So if you don't get the doubles naturally through very good RNG, kind of screwed. But we do also have the monthly events of June listing now, so if you ever need to double check anything, you can come in here. We've got Zolto, and we've got the O1 eggs and Lamulin, we've got Zalik, we've got the whale in the background, so we've got all the new dragons in this little picture here. It's very cute. We've got the star guy up there, and then Badger's just up there for some reason. But either way, this goes through everything that you should expect in the next sort of month, and not that we don't really know about this anyway, but for example, from the 6th to the 13th of June, that's week 1. So the week-long events, we've got Ancient Dungeon with the Doomsday Dragon inside and Wizard in the shop. There's the Breeding Blitz with DUNKELVIKING and Runic to breed the Magician, if you have them. Movie Marathon's coming back. We've got Sprite as the Dragon of the Week. Then we've got the Great Dragon Race, and basically nothing else except for Ancient Dungeon. We don't really have anything going on that week. Then June 13th to the 20th, again, Ancient Dungeon with the Familiar Dragon in there, so that might be a time to pick up that dragon. Gentleman's in the shop, Cake Craze is coming back, and that's when that new Beach Day Dragon is coming, as we've seen him before. We've got Otto's Lotto with Cappuccino again. We've got the Academic Dragon with Lucky Breeding. And then basically nothing else. Then the 20th, again, Ancient Dungeon, but Cocoa Crab inside, which is another one that people wanted. Painting in the Dungeon Shop. And then we've got a solo event with that White Whale ugly-ass dragon, which I love. And then there's also Sacred Apples, but they're mostly pay to win. Movie Marathon, Ladybug. And then we move on to the final week, which is Ancient Dungeon with Vibrant Dragon and Burger Dragon. Then we've got Bludgeon and O1 in the Blitz breed to breed that brand new Star Spangled Dragon. I think this is going to be a really difficult one for people to get. So good luck to anyone going for that dragon. And then of course that being the end, we've got the Bludgeon Dragon coming, new sigil campaign, and basically the end of the ancient event. So that's everything to expect. So that is actually in game, I believe, and it's also in my Discord server in the news section. So it's just the Gameloft website event schedule for June. So taking all of that into account, it does mean that Dungeon is the primary way that you're going to be getting tickets. They may offer it in the solo events and such, but the main way that you're going to get ancient tickets is by doing Dungeon. And like, outside of the major events, I don't really do Dungeon, even though it is very useful to do it for resources. But you should really, if you're going for an ancient, expect to have to open one of these purple chests like 20 plus times. I mean, a lot of newer players, I think they want to get stuff and they don't really realize that it requires a lot of grind. So when I say you should be doing a lot of Dungeon, I mean you should be getting every single one of these chests basically, maybe except that one and that one. And then you should be opening this purple chest legitimately 20 times. So it's usually better to do this all in one good dungeon week if it comes along, because we do have different dungeon rotations in the game, and I don't know if everyone is actually aware of them. So if you ever want to try and find these dungeon rotations, you can just go to the DML wiki, and then if we search dungeon, we can go to the dungeon page, and then at the bottom it actually gives us all of the dungeon pools. And so when people say this is a bad dungeon pool, this is what they're referring to. So this shows you which dragons to expect and their elements. And so if we scroll over, we have number 8, which has a lot of fire dragons to begin with, but it's also got a lot of energy dragons. So this one is a big no-no, because we've got energy, we've got a few void users. This one is a really, really dangerous pool, for example. And then we've got pool number 5, which is just full of void dragons, which is another big no-no because they can just suck your wonder, acceptance, bless, and shields off of you. Another really bad one. And then we've got a few different ones, a lot of plant dungeons, which is why double water is useful. But if we scroll down to sort of this section, this is roughly where it starts to determine whether you've got a good dungeon week or not, roughly here. And we got a few fire weeks, like the one on the end. You just have to get through the energy part at the beginning, which is not easy. But then we've got pool number 1, which has quite a lot of fire dragons and a few plant dragons as well, but nothing too crazy. And pool number 2 as well, we've got a lot of fire dragons. So there's a lot of variety in all of them. But if you've never seen it before, I do highly recommend that you go to this dungeon page on the wiki and check out this Dungeon Brawl pool section, because that is ultimately what's going to determine whether you're going to have a good dungeon week or not. Because when people talk about having a good dungeon team, they may have a really, really bad dungeon team, say for this week, but then they might have a really good dungeon team for a different week. And don't worry, I'm just leaving this on auto, just while I blabber. So sometimes, especially during the fire weeks, like for instance, my team can get up to like 2.5k stepping stones, even with how suboptimal my main team is at the moment. And if I can get to 2.5k during a fire week every single run, that's on average, or like roughly 2k, then that's good. That's where we want to be. We want to be above 2k, ideally. But a very minimum, I would say, is 1,000 stepping stones per run should be your absolute minimum before you start gemming runs. Because you can use your gems to, you know, skip the timer and do more dungeon resets. But if you're not getting at least 1,000 per run, I do not recommend it. Because you're just not getting a lot of value, if that makes sense. And on top of that, I cannot stress enough how bad of an idea it is to let autoplay actually do the dungeon for you. You should be actively trying to do these tasks, because auto does the opposite of these tasks. Like, we could have used plant there to get a quest done, but it didn't do that. Again, it used plant on a different dragon that we wouldn't have wanted it to use it on. So it's about trying to make sure you get these quests or tasks actually done. And it's the same as always, of course, assuming that the event is the same. But I don't think newer players going into this understand just how much grind is actually required. Like, obviously some of them are going to, but don't be the person that goes into this event expecting that you're going to get every ancient that you want, especially if you're going for Momotu. It's just my pre-warning to you, because it's probably not going to happen. Now, does that mean that I think you shouldn't try? No, I think if you want to go for a dragon, you should definitely try to go for it. But Momotu especially is going to come down a lot to RNG on the doubles. So, yeah, good luck with that. That's the main thing that I wanted to say. But auto battling is just so very bad. So if you rely on this to get your dungeon currency, or stepping stones, it's not going to go very well. Like, if I leave this to do auto battle now, it's just not going to do any of those tasks, and it's going to use divine on the enemies, and instead of fire it used energy. It's just all wrong. All of it is wrong. The reason it's so wrong is because 1, it doesn't bless when it should, and 2, it also tries to prioritize doing strong attacks, which is not what we want at all. You want the opposite of strong attacks in the dungeon. But I'm sure most of you that have been here a long time understand that at this point, you know, that have done these events 20 times at this point. But for anyone that's not too familiar, it's going to require a hell of a lot of dungeon grinding and a lot of preparing with a good dungeon team. Like, my dungeon team is very suboptimal. That's why we've got Imroja, who will probably be used in place of Erlang Shen when I get the enchantment materials. But ideally we'd still be removing the Nezha for something with higher base stats. But it is what it is. We deal with it for now. And I'm unfortunately in the position where, because my dragon levels are so high, it takes a very long time to get more dragons to an even level. But that's what I get. I can also get like an unlimited amount of enchantment materials in the highest tier, because I'm in the highest tier. So I do get some benefits, but if you're a lower level player, you can have like 12 dragons all at the same level, and that's a really good way to get a lot of dungeon stuff done, essentially. But anyway, mostly rambling. It's just, I really want to try and stress that don't go into this event expecting everything to go really well. I just don't want people to overestimate how good they're going to do. Because it's happened a few times where players are like, yep, I'm gonna get Momotu. It's like, you sure? You sure you're gonna get Momotu? Because I don't think you are. Especially with the team that I see that you have. And now, that's not to hate on anyone's particular teams, but the thing is, if you have a team like this that we're against right now, with those horrific sigils, why does Momotu have Havoc, for instance? I have no idea. But if you have a team like that, you're just not going to do well in the dungeon, because you're going to get to a certain KO count, like maybe at 20 or 30, where the enemies are just going to one-shot you without bless, and then that's it. You're going to have a horrible time. So it's very important you have a good team put together with the right sigils, or as bright as you can make them. If you're a newer player, you might be sort of stilted in the kind of sigils that you can actually put on your team, but as long as you try and do your very best, you know, use the water, use the shield to try and protect your team, you're gonna do better than just, you know, people mindlessly auto-battling, not doing anything as they should, if they want to actually get stuff. But we'll see. Maybe there's going to be changes when the event comes out. You never know. It very well could happen. For now, we'll wait and see. It's only a day. Well, less than a day away. So, good luck. I hope you have your team prepared by now. And I hope you got all of the Dragon of the Month breeding done. Because come tomorrow, your main breeding den is going to be taken up permanently. So, yeah. Have fun with that. But anyway, from me and DunkelViking, adios, and I appreciate you being here. Ciao!